Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Bro here, hope you're doing well, and in this video I'm going to teach you guys how we can drag and drop widgets in Python, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. If you find this video helpful, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support will help keep this channel running. Alright people, let's just dive into this. So we'll need a window, and then we're going to be adding widgets to the window. So window equals tk followed by window.main loop. Now you can drag and drop all sorts of widgets, but let's just stick with the label because creating a label is simple. So let's define a label. Label equals label. We're going to be adding this label to the window, and let's set a background color so we can actually see this label. Pick, I don't know, your favorite color. I'm going to pick red, and then I'm going to set a width and a height because normally if you have a label without any text, it's really small. So let's set a width of maybe 10 and then a height of 5. That should be good. And we want to place this label someplace within the window. So label dot place, and we can pass in some x coordinates as well as y coordinates. So x equals 0 and y equals 0. So that this is going to appear in the top left corner of our window. So this is what we have. This is our label, and we want to be able to drag and drop this label someplace within the window. What we're going to need to do is actually bind this label twice. But let's begin with just the first binding. So in order to bind a widget, you type in the name of the widget, followed by calling the bind function. So this bind function can take two arguments. It can take an event as well as a function name. So for the function name, let's call this drag underscore start. But you don't really need to name it the same that I do. And for the event that occurs, this is going to be a left button click with the mouse. So that event is within quotes and within angle brackets, button dash 1. So if we were to click someplace within the label using the left mouse button, it's going to call our drag start function. But we need to define this. So at the top of our program, let's define this function. Def drag start, and this takes one parameter. The parameter we have is our event. So what we're going to do is actually get the coordinates of where we click within this label, and we're going to assign these to a new variable or attribute of our label. So label dot, let's create an attribute called start x equals our event dot x. So this is where we click within the label and not necessarily the window. And let's repeat the process for y. So label dot start y equals event dot y. So we're going to have some coordinates of where we click within this label, and we can actually use that for our next function. So we're going to bind this label a second time. So I'm going to copy this line and paste it. The second binding, let's say, is drag underscore motion for the function name. And this event is going to occur if we were to hold down the left mouse button and then drag. So that is B1 dash motion. And then we need to define this function. So at the top, def drag underscore motion, and this takes our event as a parameter. So this part is going to be a little funky. We're going to get or create new x and y coordinates. So let's begin with x. X equals the name of our label or widget, label.winfo underscore x. And this is a function, so add some parentheses. This will get the top left x coordinate of our label relative to the window that we're in, minus label x, well, label.startx, plus event.x. All right? So we're going to do the same thing for y. Well, we're going to replace x with y for the second line. All right, so this is the top left corner, the x coordinate of our widget relative to the window. This is the place where we click within the label itself. And this is where we begin dragging our widget to. It's a little difficult to explain, but if you combine all of these together, you'll get the new coordinates of where you want to drag this component, this widget to. So we need to replace this widget. So label dot place x equals x and y equals y. So then when you combine all of these together, we have our widget and we can drag it and drop it someplace else within the window. Now, wait a second. What if we have more than one widget? Well, with the way that our functions are written now, they wouldn't be compatible with more than one widget, just this label itself. So what if we were to create a second label? So I'm going to call this second label just label2. So I'm just going to rename them. And let's change the background color to maybe blue. And I'm just going to place this somewhere else within our window. So maybe where x is 100 and y is 100. And we'll need to bind label2 as well. So make sure to bind label2. So we have label1 binded. It's just called label, and the same thing with label2. All right, let's see what happens. I'm going to attempt to drag label2, but label1 is moving. That's because with our functions, we stated we're getting the coordinates, and we're storing them within the attributes of label1 and not necessarily label2. So in order to make these functions compatible with all widgets, we can actually add one line of code. Widget equals event.widget. So this is going to get the widget of the event that we're dealing with, and we're going to temporarily rename this as widget. So now we're going to replace all instances of where we use label and replace it with widget. So be sure to do the same thing too with drag motion. And then we will need to add this line at the top of drag motion. So now these functions are now compatible with any widget that we create. And we should be able to drag and drop both widgets. All right, well, that's the basics of dragging and dropping widgets in Python. If you want a copy of all this code, I'll post all of this in the comments down below. But yeah, that's the basics of dragging and dropping widgets in Python. Hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. If you learned something new, then you can help me help you in 3 easy steps by smashing that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro.